At this point, each student would be handed a copy of The Tinderbox by Hans Christian Andersen. The story would be divided into 3 parts. We would go over and ask questions and make predictions based just on the title, The Tinderbox, as a class. Some students would be asked to come to the board and write down what they think the story is going to be about, or questions that they have about the Tinderbox. Who, what, when, where, all those kinds of prompts, and just see what they can get out of just a title. The class will then be divided into groups of 3 or 4. The students in their little groups will read the first third of the story, with one student or all of them taking turns reading out loud, while the others read along. I do this so that they have both the visual cues and also, for people who learn better by listening, the audio part of it as well. After they had enough time to read the first third of the story, I would ask for the class's attention, and I would have them, as in their groups, each make a prediction and ask a question about what they've read so far. One member of each group, after they've had enough time to do those 2 things, would come up and write their question and their predictions. Hopefully each group will come up with a different question or prediction, but even if not, we'll go with it. We'll then have them read the second third of the story. We'll get back together and try to figure out if any of their predictions have actually come true yet, if they're still not answered, if any of the questions have been answered. And at this time, the groups will again have time to make another prediction or improve their question or improve their prediction based on what's happened since the beginning. We'll then read the end of the story, and we will get back together as a big group and figure out what predictions the students had made that had actually come true, what predictions they made that didn't come true or were wrong, but why the students made those predictions, what they thought, what their reasoning behind it was. We'll see if there were any questions or clarifications that have to be made on the story at this time, and answer all the remaining questions that are left on the board if they weren't answered in the story. Sometimes questions can't be answered because it's a story and there's no real resource to find it, but if there is, we can, Google it or whatever and find answers to their questions that are answerable, even if the answer wasn't found in the story itself. I'm hoping that at this point the students will have had practice with these strategies already. This is really just strengthening the use of these strategies, and this is a beginning of the year lesson that is going to be given to them along with a journal that they already use when we read text throughout the year. And whatever we're reading throughout the year, I expect at least once a week for them to have predictions made as well as questions made about that text, and then the outcome of if the predictions were correct or not, if they found answers to their questions. Basically making sure that they're reading actively as opposed to passively, making sure that they're thinking about what they're reading and not just skimming the words on a page as quick as they possibly can.